Right now, the National Weather Service confirms a tornado touched down in Fort Atkinson last night. We'll hear from residents who are cleaning up the damage.
And severe weather forced evacuations in Belleville after a downed tree hit a gas line. An update from crews who surveyed the damage.
Plus, lawyers are asking Governor Evers to pardon a man they say was coerced into a murder confession. Why they say Brendan Dassey deserves to be free.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 6.
Thanks for joining us. The National Weather Service says an EF1 tornado touched down 3 miles southwest of Sullivan in Jefferson County last night. Maximum winds estimated at 100 miles per hour.
About an hour ago, an EF0 tornado was confirmed in Fort Atkinson with peak winds at 80 miles per hour. Tonight, the forecast is much calmer, but we're still dealing with additional rain. Let's check your first alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti.
For much of us, that was the main problem last night, the rain, but there were pockets of severe weather, as we'll be mentioning in the newscast. However, the rain will continue, at least for tonight. You can see plenty of clouds. That's keeping temperatures down. And a lot of showers out there, but none of them are particularly heavy. Not seeing any flashes of lightning, which is good news. That would indicate some heavier thunderstorms, but expect some off and on showers overnight into early tomorrow morning. Temperatures are on the cool side. Yesterday, we were in the mid to upper 70s at this time. Now we're in the lower to middle 50s for the most part. Dew point temperatures have come down a bit, so there's not as much moisture to make heavier amounts of rain. And by tomorrow morning, the shower should come to an end. Temperatures will start out in the lower 50s. Tomorrow, we should see a little sunshine later on in the afternoon. Our high temperature eventually topping out at 59 on a breezy day. That's your News 3 Now First Alert forecast.
Gary, thanks. And last night in Belleville, crews had to repair a ruptured gas line that was damaged by an uprooted tree. This was in the area of River Street at 3rd Avenue. Residents were forced to evacuate.
Straight line winds of 70 to 80 miles per hour are to blame. Meteorologist Dave Caulfield is live in Belleville tonight with the latest conditions. Good evening, Dave.
Well, Eric and Charlotte, crews have just wrapped up for the day here in Belleville along North Park Street, but the tree that caused so many problems last night is still here, and it did look earlier today like a tornado was to blame, but after further review with the storm survey that I was able to tag along with, it was determined that straight line winds were the culprit. They aren't the typical sights and sounds of fall in Wisconsin. Broken branches and toppled trees litter roofs and yards. Wood chippers working overtime Wednesday to clean up after Tuesday night's powerful storms.
In the fall, there's obviously another minor peak to the severe weather season just because we're having the transition of seasons where you're having intrusions of colder air, so you have stronger cold fronts than what you do a month or two prior.
Ben Miller is a meteorologist with the National Weather Service in Milwaukee. He was able to determine the diagnosis of a straight-line wind event based on how the damage was laid.
When you have straight-line winds, the wind comes down, hits the ground, and spreads out, and so you have what we call a divergent pattern. The damage spreads out versus a tornado. When it comes through, it kind of tries to lay everything towards the middle of the path of the tornado.
Along with Dane County officials, Miller surveyed the storm debris in Belleville Wednesday morning, starting near the high school and then moving to North Park Street, an area that took the brunt of the damage.
When we look at this tree behind us today that was uprooted and took a gas line with it, it makes us very grateful that nothing worse did happen.
No one was injured in Tuesday night's storms. However, officials and residents alike know that plenty of cleanup work lies ahead.
It just shows you how localized these kind of events can be and why we always need to be on our toes during storm events.
You know, a lot has been made, Eric and Charlotte, about whether this damage was caused by a tornado or a straight line wind event, and eventually the survey today determined straight line wind, but it really doesn't matter for folks that had to deal with this damage, like the homeowner of the home behind me. I spoke to her earlier today. She didn't want to appear on camera. She said everyone's doing okay. She's shaken, but she's just glad no one was injured.
So are we. Dave, thank you. Fort Atkinson residents are dealing with the aftermath of last night's storms as well. The National Weather Service has confirmed an EF0 tornado hit there.
Madeline O'Neill has more on what neighbors saw last night, Maddie.
Well, Fort Atkinson residents tell us they're feeling grateful today that everyone is okay as they prepare to clean up after the storm. The tornado hit the southern part of the city. Fire chief says 8 homes were damaged, 30 trees were toppled down, and 100 were severely damaged. Several roads there were blocked off because of the storm damage. One resident says her house was shaking from the strong winds last night.
I'm like, oh my God, and I knew this was a tornado, I swear to God. And so my instant thought was to hurry up and get all the kids in the basement. They were in a dead sleep, and they were all crying. I was trying to get them in the basement, and then I was trying to look for my cats, and they were hiding, and everything kind of calmed down. And then I came outside, and I saw all this trees down and everything else.
Now, Jill, you just heard from and her landlord tell us miraculously no cars in their area were hit by trees, but officials say tree limbs did fall on 10 cars throughout the city.
That was quite a mess. All right, Maddie, thank you. Now, if you're dealing with downed trees in your yard or other storm damage, the Better Business Bureau has a warning for people. So when it comes to scammers, they say these fake contractors might be going door to door after severe weather. They may not be properly licensed or insured. They could be using cheap materials. Before hiring anybody to do some work, check company ratings at bbb.org. We're learning a mechanical failure inside a transformer caused the substation fires in downtown Madison back in July. American Transmission Company says there was an issue with the voltage regulating component which generated combustible gases and caused the fire. An ATC statement says they were aware the component was malfunctioning and had scheduled inspections with the manufacturer before the fire happened. ATC calls the failure extremely rare. The company is working with DNR officials to contain, collect, and properly dispose of the transformer's insulating fluid and water used to extinguish the fire.
Governor Tony Evers says he will carefully review the pardon application filed on behalf of 29-year-old Brendan Dassey.
Dassey, the subject, one of them in the 2015 Netflix series Making a Murder. Rose Schmidt tells us more about his latest effort to again be a free man. Rose?
Brendan Dassey's lawyers argue that he was coerced into a confession for a crime he did not commit back in 2005 when he was 16 years old. Dassey confessed to helping his uncle Stephen Avery murder Teresa Halbach in Manitowoc County. Both are now serving life sentences as documented in Making a Murderer. But Dassey's attorneys said today that no evidence ties him to the scene or the murder. A handwritten letter from Dassey asks Governor Evers to restore his rights with a pardon or get his sentence reduced with a commutation.
We're confident that when the governor looks at this case, watches those interrogation videos, speaks to the people involved, gives Brendan Dassey a hearing, we're confident that he's going to see this is exactly the kind of case that the clemency power is tailor-made for.
Dassey's case doesn't meet the eligibility requirements to apply for a pardon because he hasn't completed his sentence. But Governor Evers said this afternoon that his Pardon Advisory Board carefully considers all applications. Dassey could request another trial if new evidence comes to light, but he's not eligible for parole until 2048.
Boy, certainly a case that has a lot of interest. Rose, thank you.
A suicide prevention hotline will receive a boost in funding. Today, the legislature's Budget Committee approved a $110,000 annual grant for the texting service Hope Line. The Hope Line is run by the nonprofit Center for Suicide Awareness. If you are struggling, please text Hope Line to 741-741. Trained professionals are ready to help. Tomorrow at the state capitol, the legislature's Black and Latino caucus is holding its second annual roundtable. They'll talk with community leaders about the state's racial disparities in jobs, incarceration, and housing, and discuss how to make improvements. Governor Evers and Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes will join the conversation. That is happening tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Next week is National Fire Prevention Week. In preparation, the governor and Department of Safety and Professional Services Secretary-designee Dawn Krim visited the Sun Prairie Fire Department today to learn about the department's extensive public education and outreach programs. One of the most important things Chief Chris Garrison wants to stress to lawmakers is sprinkler ordinances.
We need more sprinklers, and they changed the rule and the regulations from any multifamily apartment building up to 20 units don't need sprinklers. Well, we had a resident death in regards to that just a few months ago. I think it's something that truly needs to be looked at.
Chief Garrison welcomed Secretary Krim as an honorary recruit for the day and introduced her to firefighting equipment, gear, and workouts. Sun Prairie Fire offering free pizza as well to encourage people to make sure their smoke alarms work in their homes. Next week, Wednesday, October 9th, anyone who orders pizza from the Sun Prairie Domino's could be randomly selected to have their order delivered by fire truck. And then firefighters will check out their smoke alarms, make sure they work. If they do work, dinner is free. If they don't, they will replace your batteries.
Not a bad idea.
No.
Next at 6, as union workers are on strike from General Motors, Janesville residents are feeling the pain. We'll hear from one man who has been commuting to work at an Indianapolis plant about how the strike is impacting his family.
And there's more local news ahead. Congressman Mark Pocan holding a town hall in Sun Prairie tonight amid the impeachment inquiry. We'll have an update on his Q&A with residents on News 3 Now at 10.
The Verona Road Business Coalition is celebrating another major construction milestone. The Nesbitt-Fitch-Rona Road roundabout is opening Friday, and 3 lanes in each direction on the Raymond Road to McKee Road stretch in Fitchburg are scheduled to open in early November. City of Fitchburg Mayor Aaron Richardson thanked residents and businesses in the area for persevering through the road work over these past 6 years.
While the Verona Road reconstruction may have been a long road, looking forward to the future, we see a bright future. It's for our communities, our businesses, our residents, our workforce, and visitors to the greater Madison area.
There is one more construction season left for the Verona Road project. It's on track to be complete in 2020. General Motors workers around the country are entering into the 3rd week of a nationwide strike.
They say they're fighting for better opportunities and conditions for temporary employees. Rock County reporter Adam Duxter joins us from our bureau at the Janesville Gazette with why this might have a bigger impact on our area than one might think. Adam?
Well, Eric and Charlotte, for decades, General Motors was like the heartbeat of the city of Janesville. And now with workers striking across the nation, that heartbeat is continuing on for some.
Brick giveaway from the General Motors in Janesville.
General Motors has always been in the lives of John and Jane Donor.
I worked on the seal line in the paint department.
At one point, the two worked opposite shifts at the Janesville plant. But like many, were forced to make a decision whether to stay or leave when the plant closed a decade ago.
The 2 oldest were in high school. The youngest was in middle school. Everybody was established in school.
Ultimately, Jane and her children stayed home, with John taking a job with GM in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
We usually talk 3-4 times during the day, and then he tries to come home every weekend.
Now enough time has passed to where their former employer is no more than a vacant lot. But miles and hours away, more than 100 of its employees fighting the fight elsewhere.
It's just rough patch in life, and hopefully that both sides will come together and put their heads together and get it figured out.
The strike is now entering its 3rd week, with union representatives fighting for better rights for temporary workers. For John, it's 17 days without his usual salary or a trip home. which he says is just the beginning.
You not only got to worry about your house payment back home, but you're dealing with you got to rent. A lot of us got a rent payment down here, so you got 2 times the bills.
And she'll come up running all around here.
Jane left to take care of the usual chores around the house. Both hoping the strike will come to an end sometime soon.
You just kind of really had to rely on your strength and your strength as a couple, your strength in your family, ask for help.
Now, John says his position within his union won't allow him to leave the strike. He's got to stay in Indiana for the duration of it. He says the most difficult part is not really knowing when the strike can end and will end. But he says he is looking forward to the end of the strike so that he can get back to southern Wisconsin and visit with his family.
All right, Adam Duxer reporting in Rock County tonight. Adam, thank you. And coming up in sports, after the Brewers season came to an abrupt ending last night, can the Packers bounce back from last week's loss against Philly? Jay Wilson shares the thoughts of head coach Matt LaFleur.
And more rain in the forecast tonight, but it should be much calmer than last night's storms. Gary will have the details next in your First Alert forecast. Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti joins us now. And do you get to take a little bit of a breather?
Well, we still have some rain in the forecast. We got to watch that, but the severe weather threat won't be here tonight like it was last night. Let's start out by taking a look at some of the rainfall reports just over the last 48 hours, and you can see nearly 6 inches fell in Beaver Dam. Much of Dodge County had over 4 inches of rain. Lodi, 4.5 inches. Sauk City, a little over 4, near 4 in DeForest. Fort Atkinson, 3 3/4. And then in Madison, 3.23 inches. Now, to put that in perspective, for the entire month of October, normally we get 2.4 inches of rain. So if we don't get another drop for the rest of the month, we're going to be above average. And you can see where the heaviest rains fell. Dodge County, Columbia County, northern Dane County, particularly hard hit, as was the central portion of Grant County. But everybody picked up a good 1 to 2 inches of rain from those showers and thunderstorms last night. And then, of course, severe weather. Thunderstorms tracked basically right through the southern portion of Dane County and through Jefferson County. A lot of wind reports, but there was that tornado, EF1 tornado in Sullivan with maximum winds of about 100 miles per hour. That tracked just south of the National Weather Service office. we have showers in the forecast on radar tonight, but notice you don't see any lightning. The showers are generally light in intensity, and they are starting to break up farther out to the west. So the threat for showers, if it lingers into tomorrow morning, that'll be a long time. I think most areas will probably be clearing out by that time. Now, if you take into account the rain that falls tonight and then again from Friday night into Saturday, the computer model's showing about 3/4 of an inch to maybe 1.5 inches of rain over southern Wisconsin. Most of that will be Friday night into Saturday. The European computer model, a little bit heavier, at least here in Madison, about 1 inch to 1.25 inches through much of southern Wisconsin. We don't need any more rain, but we'll keep the amounts low as we can. Live view from the WISC Sky Cam showing gray skies. The Edgewater Sky Cam downtown Madison showing mostly cloudy skies as well. The cloud cover held down temperatures today. Yesterday we were above normal. Now we're below normal. 61 the high compared to the average high of 65. 53 the overnight low. That's still above normal thanks to the humidity in the cloud cover. Light rain falling at the airport. Temperatures 54. The humidity at 93%. Temperatures range from the middle 40s up near Lake Superior to around 60 to our south across parts of northern Illinois and eastern Iowa. Compared to 24 hours ago, those temperatures running about 20 to 25 degrees colder. But the upper level winds are still out of the southwest, so it's bringing one more surge of moisture in the form of light showers. But the air near the ground is much drier. The dew point temperatures have come down, so the precipitation for the most part is pretty light. But we're on the cool side of this system now, and we're going to stay there for a while. So for tonight, showers, some areas of fog overnight, low temperature dropping to 53, but any lingering showers land early tomorrow. Then we'll be mostly cloudy and breezy, maybe a little sunshine later in the afternoon with a high of 59. On future track, the shower chances moving through tonight and then later on tonight into early tomorrow morning. Then by later tomorrow afternoon, we start to see some breaks in the clouds, highs in the upper 50s. Lows tomorrow night drop into the lower 40s with partly cloudy skies. And on Friday, look for high temperatures in the middle to upper 50s. Rainfall amounts generally about 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch, if that. And that's through early tomorrow morning. 7 to 10 day forecast. Again, shower and thunderstorm chance Friday night into Saturday. But look at next week. Most of it is dry.
Badger basketball continues to deal with the tragic story of Howard Moore and his family. We'll hear from Greg Gard in sports. The Badger men's basketball season is just around the corner, and today in Rosemont, Illinois, the Big Ten held its men's basketball media day to preview the season. The big topics around Greg Gard and the Badgers, life after Ethan Happ, and how the team is dealing with a tragic accident involving the family of assistant coach Howard Moore back in May. Moore's wife and daughter were killed in the crash in Michigan, and Moore continues a slow and difficult recovery from his injuries. Gard says it's been incredibly difficult for the entire Wisconsin basketball program to move on.
It's uncharted territory. You know, there's not a manual for how do you handle those things. And as I've gone through my career, I've been advised on many things and have gotten great mentorship from a lot of different people. But that is an area, and that's been an experience that, you know, there's not a roadmap for that.
The coaches have done a great job of instilling confidence in us and just being a voice and being there for us. We've had moments of doubt, and I think that the coaches have definitely instilled that confidence back to this team.
The Brewers season came to an abrupt end last night in Washington in a 4-3 loss in the National League wildcard game. Josh Hader was 17 for 17 in 2 run-saved situations this year until last night. A broken bat single, 2 walks, and that set the table for Juan Soto's routine-looking single that turned into a disaster when it skipped past Brewers rookie right fielder Trent Grisham. 3 runs scored, and the Brewers season was over.
It's essentially gifting the Nationals a divisional berth. I mean, it's going to hurt, and I expect it to hurt. And when I really kind of debrief and go into the off season,
it's baseball. I mean, like I said, that's not anything on him. I mean, it comes down to me making my pitches. If I didn't walk those guys, that opportunity wouldn't even came. So, I mean, it's no blame on him at all.
Devontae Adams didn't practice in Green Bay today with that toe injury. Still not sure if he'll play Sunday when the Packers play at Dallas. They're coming off a 34-27 loss to Philadelphia at Lambeau Field last Thursday, but their offense showed signs of life. Head coach Matt LaFleur puts that in the "we're making progress" category.
I think we're a different offense right now as opposed to week 1. But again, you still got to go out there and do it. You can't talk about it. You got to be about it. And so the Cowboys' defense is pretty legitimate. I think you look at their numbers; they're in the top in all the categories. So we're going to have our hands full.
The Prep Mania High School football game of the week is Monona Grove at Oregon. We'll be live on channel3000.com Friday night, 7 o'clock for the Badger South battle between the Silver Eagles and Panthers. The last thing you'd want to do today is play golf, but they played on at the WIA Division II Girls Golf Regional at Pleasant View. It was 52 degrees, windy and rainy when they started at 9 a.m. today. But these golfers have grit. They played 18 holes. The rounds took over 5 hours, but they made it. When it was over, Edgewood won it with Wisconsin Dells. Cambridge and Darlington also advancing to the sectional. Edgewood's Grace Welch had the best score with 76. That was Chris Wetler with his rain poncho. It was nasty. But
Greens must have been slow.
Yeah, you could go right at the pins, that's for sure.
Well, we still have some showers out there, but they're generally light. They're moving through relatively quickly, too, so that should limit the amount of rain. Temperatures are cool. They're only in the mid-50s now. The dew point temperatures are low, so we're not expecting a lot of rain. Look for dry weather from tomorrow afternoon through Friday, some rain chances Friday afternoon into Saturday, and then dry weather for much of next week.
Okay, Gary, thanks. Thanks for joining us.
Enjoy your evening, and we'll see you back here at 10.